Is Sue Steubenville here yet?
I don't think she is.
No, okay. So we'll move on to Gavin Barclay and Dennis Thompson. Thank you.
Good afternoon. We represent the Yoldhurst Rural Residents Association.
Welcome.
I might got a little confused that my comments here and Gavin's are more relevant to the city plan as opposed to the annual plan, but I did ask the young lady. She said we were still allowed to make the submission. Our rural residents group, the Yoldhurst Rural Residents Association, YARA for short, has been very active for 28 years to try and maintain and improve the quality of living standards in our area. We are zoned Rural 2. In recent years, the residents have been faced with mounting uncertainty and anger at the council in their handling of new activities in the area. Residents have been forced to act as their own watchdogs for new developments on nearby land as we fear the increasing trend of non-notifiable activities, which means that they, the landowners, can end up with an undesirable and, in our opinion, non-complying activity on their doorstep with no consultation with the council. We have a proliferation of trucking and contractors' yards with the noise, dust, eyesore, pollution to the groundwater, increased traffic noise, heavy trucks starting at 4 a.m. in the morning, with roading hazards from vehicles on our narrow roads and non-approved access ways to those properties. There is a property with 150 plus camper vans on the boundary, which in our opinion causes a fire hazard or potential fire hazard. There is another property that is storing temporarily buildings that have been taken out of the red zone and have the associated trucking and other pieces with it. None of these activities fit with the environmental results anticipated under the city plan. The city plan rules zone section lists under the environmental results anticipated, A, management of a versatile soil resources in the zone for activities which will support and encourage the present and future production potential. I cannot see how any of those activities there will enhance growing or doing anything on the land. Low density of rural dwellings consistent with maintaining the quality of the groundwater. I cannot see where any of those activities will enhance our groundwater. Protection enhancement of the visual amenities of the zone. None of those activities will enhance those. We see the above mentioned activities as totally non-complying. So either the standards in the city plan are unclear and need to be strengthened, or the council staff that approve consents are ignoring the standards, or the enforcement team of the council is not adequately monitoring the activities. The council, under the RMA Act and the Health Acts, has an obligation and a duty to keep objectionable elements in connection with certain uses of the land and activities to a minimum. We, the residents, believe the Christchurch City Council is failing in its obligation and duty by allowing these activities and by giving consents or inadequately enforcement. We, the residents, want a robust plan, adequately administered and enforced by the council so that we may reasonably enjoy a quality of life now and in the future.
Yes, I'm just here to reinforcing the points put forward by Dennis. And what concerns me, the traditional town planning principles have been side-swiped really. And in one part we had certain activities in correctly zoned areas, and now, as Dennis said, the real problem is non-notification. There's become a Wild West town planning situation. That's in that area. Now we've just been given notice at Fulton Hogan without any notification going to quarry 40 hectares on Roberts Road between High Road and Pound Road. Now, this is right at the watershed of our groundwater, and if we think that quarrying doesn't affect our groundwater, I think we're a wee bit disillusioned, really. And going back to the enforcement area, it seems that they are totally inadequate. And I'd be interested to know actually how many enforcement notices they've actually acted on in the last 2 or 3 years. The department just lacks any feel for the future of our town, I believe. Another area where the planning seems to be wishy-washy, we've had so much publicity about this Dudley Creek area. Well, they're behind in the west of that area. How many sections are going in there? There's thousands, isn't there, in the Preston Road area. And that's in a very damp, low-lying area. So we're concerned about the general town planning environment that we live in here.
Right. Well, look, thank you for that. I think that perhaps this would have been better directed to the district plan review, but given that you're here, I think we'll open it up to questions. But I'm going to, with the leave of the council, have the submission referred through to the district plan review so that they can actually have a good look at it as well, if that's all right with you. Because it doesn't impact on the annual plan per se, but it's very relevant to the district plan review. So it's not too late to push it through into that process, if that's okay.
It's a serious issue for the future of our environment.
I'm agreeing with you, which is why I think that it's important that we get it into the right process. But I'm going to allow councillors to ask questions. Vicky.
Thank you for your submission. The uses that you mentioned, are they temporary ones until April 2016, with the exception, obviously, of the quarrying?
How would we know? Because the council doesn't consult us.
And notify.
Okay, so you don't know whether they're
We wouldn't have a clue. All we see is what happens on the ground,
Okay.
and it's the proliferation of it that it continues, and once it's there, we personally don't think it'll ever disappear. People have bought the land, and having spent up to $1 million or plus for the land, do you think they'll go back to residential farming? No. The land's destroyed once they've done what they're doing to it.
Have you seen the condition of the road? Have any of you been up the whole West Coast at all in the last 6 months? It's a shambles.
So, and the quarrying, you mentioned that it's a very large area of quarrying. You mentioned no notification at all. Is that the case?
That's as we understand, they're moving in, and nobody. It was only a rumour, no, only luck that somebody heard about it in the Roberts Road area.
Jimmy?
Kevin, I remember the last year. Yourhurst Rural Resident Association, you have a kind of a specific concern, and also on your behalf, I engaged with the council staff. I forwarded to you some of the specific case. I'm wondering whether after that did you have a follow up?
Yeah. Well, that happened, but it's all been forgotten about. That's quite some time ago, Jimmy. That would be 3 or 4 years ago, wouldn't it?
Tim?
Hi, the two of the examples you gave, which were the trucking and the camper van storage, with regards to have you had dialogue with council officers with regards to those two activities?
Not specifically the last couple. We've actually had dialogue for 28 years with your council officers. I have hair on my head because I don't bash it against a concrete wall. And when I find council officers who are next to useless, I just don't do it anymore.
Okay. Thank you.
We are considered an absolute narc by Mr. Townsend, one of the enforcement officers. We're an absolute narc.
Okay.
Sorry,
you.
there's a Mr. Townsend sitting behind you, but it's not the same one. Yanni.
Thank you for your submission. I think you raised a really good point, and it is actually an annual plan debate. It's about the level of service we put into enforcement and monitoring of our district plan, of other standards and regulations that we put. So I know this has come up before, so I do think
Oh, okay.
this
Sorry.
is absolutely the right place.
Yanni's
and we
been
do
here a
need
bit longer than I have.
We do need to look at it. I would really like to get some specific information around the quarry though. I know we're not supposed to ask questions of staff, but I do think there's a communications plan that was put in place for consents being issued to let affected residents and community groups know,
So
even if they
which
couldn't
quarry
be
is it?
notified. Pound Road, I guess.
The new proposed one is just off Pound Road. It runs, Buchanan's Road running east-west and Roberts Road running east-west-west. And it's in an area in there.
Okay, so we'll put
In
it,
the square of High Road, Pound Road, Buchanan's Road and Roberts Road. It was old freezing works, grazing paddocks.
right.
So you mentioned there's a new Waterloo, the industrial development park. You mentioned that one. Right.
I don't think this is part of the Waterloo. I
No.
think this man behind us is going to talk about the Waterloo park. This is, look, it could be, but I don't think it's within the parameter of the industrial park.
There are two different environments that we operate in at the moment. So we've got our own district plan, but we've also got orders in council that sit under the Canterbury Earthquake Recovery Act, and they only sit there till April 2016. But the council isn't involved in notification in that regard. So we're going to get to the bottom of this and find out what the actual situation is. But it seems to be that if we're not notifying because we're not obliged to, then that's not going to be good enough for this council. We actually think that we should notify our citizens even if we're not the cause of the particular change to the way the district plan operates. So leave that one with us, and Yanni's raised a good point about it fitting under the enforcement regime, so we can check on that as well. But I am also going to send it to the district plan review because I think it does touch on some elements there that you have quite justifiably raised in front of the whole council. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your reassurance.
Okay, cheers.